You need to watch out for these decks now, or they're going to catch you off guard. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome. We're going to immediately dig into Runic Chimera, or Illusionist Runic here. Now, a lot of the things you're going to see in this video are going to be new upcoming trends that you might be like, well, you know, I'm already aware of Runic, Robbie, duh. But like, what happens when you see the combination of Runic cards with, you know, the Chimera stuff? You know, the Chimera stuff actually can start ripping from your hand. And I mean, they have some very reliable stepping stones. Also, the fact that all the Runic cards special summon, which means you can have tribute fodder to bring out the Berfelmet on the very early stages of the game, and then the Berfelmet can toggle for the fusion. Now, suddenly your opponent's getting this hand rip out of your hand during the end phase. Now you got to deal with all the Runic cards coming down here. Oh, Robbie, what about, you know, Runic says they don't get a battle phase. I mean, it's not going to matter if they set up an entire control field while they're shaving off your hand. It just takes one turn for you to literally be left with nothing and go, oh, you know, maybe I should have played that a little bit better. Maybe I should have been a little bit more optimistic for the matchup. But this is the new sauce of the month. All right, and you thought that Runic for hire was, you know, generating this advantage. I don't really care if my opponent draws all these cards, but the issue becomes when they start going after my hand and ripping away my options, the things that I have that I need to counterplay the game. That's where all of our issues kind of flow on into here. And this deck has already had 3 to 4 successful runs. And if the numbers are turning and more people are going, hey, you know, maybe you should look at this. Maybe this is the way that we need to look at the future of this deck. I think you're going to continue to see this deck be a very strong contender, at least in the Tier 1 category. So, buckle up! Runic Chimera. I didn't think I would ever see the day. Next up is Salamand. Now, full disclaimer here about the entire Fire Duels pack. I don't think a lot of stuff in here is great. I will say that the one top that the deck has on file right now, using the new stuff, was piloted by a duelist that has practiced the deck for months, has continued to innovate this deck, and I've personally seen the levels of innovation that they've gone through playtesting this. Very good player. This is one of the case examples of player knows their shit, knows what the hell they're doing with these decks, and are able to play it to an absolute perfection level. Also, I mean, you sprinkle in the little dab of people not knowing what the heck to do against Salamand great cards. You know, definitely wrenches a couple of things in there. Now, I mean, Nibiru has been running around on the format. I'm not going to discredit that at the end of the day. You do got to remember that, you know, a Salamand great player's best field is a Nibiru token, and we've seen that meme time and time again with how they are doing this. But if you are entering into the playing field right now, you're like, Salamand great, who cares? You know, it's just salad. And they go through like the Link 4 plays are setting up this field. They have the Roar of the Rage. You know, 2 interruptions is basically all you really need right now to kind of set up into a pretty good board at the end of the day. And if you're not able to play around that, that's why like Sword Soul's kind of doing well right now at the end of the day is, you know, 2 interruptions, pretty good. I mean, obviously Dark Ruler no more. Things that can, you know, push through these can do it, but these are actual trap protections. These are the good stuff at the end of the day. Yeah, I know, trap cards, good. Yeah, I know Yu-Gi-Oh! Players get scared out of their mind when that is all said and done. So yes, of the 3 from the Duels pack, I would say you need to be worried about Salamand Great, because I think if more and more people kind of bring this and, you know, people aren't prepared, well, next up is Unchained. Holy moly. Talk about a deck that surpassed everybody's expectations. So many people genuinely looked at Unchained and said, nope, deck's trash, not playing it. And then people started to go, wait a minute. I can have Unchained cards. I can play all the books in the world with no repercussions to set down things. I can take care of any sort of troublesome monsters going on. And my trap cards are amazing forms of pop ability, recurability, and I can also link out with your monsters during your turn. You know, when you have this much coverage, also, Dimension Shifter doesn't kill the deck. I think that's one of the most important things. People seem to misunderstand when I say Shifter doesn't kill the deck. They do care about their graveyard to an extent, but they can play around Shifter. It's just not always the greatest thing in the world at the end of the day. So, playing into the Unchained matchup, it's also, contrary to popular belief, it has a pretty good Labyrinth matchup because they want their stuff destroyed, all right? If the Labyrinth is just stepping on all the monsters and they're blowing up and they're all self-replacing, Labyrinth can't really do anything about that, all right? The floatability is nuts at the end of the day. So if you have all this good coverage, of course you're going to do good at the meta. Now, I can't guarantee the safety of the deck every single time a Dimension Shifter resolves, or, a Rise Heart comes down, or, there's some sort of interruption, the well-timed Ash on the attempted special summon ending their entire turn. It happens. These are the things that do cut people off while playing the deck. Not really much ways to play around some of the choke points, and I mean some of the choke points are random RNG sometimes, because sometimes you just don't have enough extensions to keep going. But you need to be aware of this deck. It will catch you off guard very easily. I think this is by far the most competitive of all the variants here. Next up is Synchro Pile. Now, I've seen all sorts of Synchro Piles right now. You got the full hand rip your opponent for everything in the world, which I hate Dark World, by the way. Dark World's done that to me twice now. Story for another day, though. You've got the semi-like hand rip where I think you rip 2. It's 2 to 3 from your opponent's hand, and you set up an end field. You got some they'll do that one hand rip and set up a very big field. It kind of depends on what your flavor of toxicity is. It's really saying something, because when all the different Synchro Piles, I'm talking about the Stardust playing I guess it would be the Junk Speeder combo variants. Because Mana Diem is kind of a Synchro Pile at the end of the day, but it's not doing the crazy lines of play that this deck can do. Also, this deck can also King Calamities you if it wants to. You see what I mean? All of these, I cannot bring my brain to comprehend Synchro Pile at the moment, because we just went through 4 or 5 different ways that you can play this pile and maximize your results. And the problem is it's going to depend on how your combo lines are and what you want to learn. Obviously, Dark World no more is crazy. The deck can play around Nibiru at this point in time. Somebody's going to be like, Robbie, with all this stuff that you're talking about, the deck literally should be tier 0. Well, the problem is, it goes second. The deck is very fragile going second. Also, Troll and Lockbird can kind of hurt it sometimes. You cut off a little bit of the searching. It's not a lot. I think my friend was telling me they may get 3 draws, and that's kind of it if you're kind of cutting that off. And it also depends on, do you have a way to stop the Junk Speeder? It really depends on how you open up in that matchup, but it's got some pretty interesting. Obviously, you can try to chain block our dear friend Speeder, but that's why we play things like other hand traps. Last thing I want to talk about here is Flounderies. Now, the reason why I'm tossing Flunder back into this is the amount of top 16s that I saw this weekend, where Flounder was cacawing at the tables. Definitely, it made me take a step back here and go, wait a minute, this deck is still a threat. Do you know how many people don't know how to play around M-Pen? Come on now, it's been 5 years, alright? If you're losing to M-Pen at this point in time, you probably shouldn't be playing competitively. They don't have the barrier statue anymore. You can play the game. But Robbie, they went first. They opened up the big old M-Pen play. They got the trap set. Just get good. That's all there is to it. They brought out the Apex Avian. They have the Ryza interruption. Do the game too, The deck loses to hand traps. There's a reason why it's a rogue pick at this point in time. It's just for whatever reason right now, the deck's doing a lot better. It's probably because Book of Moon exists right now as a card, and they could give 2 garbage craps less. You set my M-Pen? Okay, let me summon another one during your turn. Yep, it's an honest day's work out here being a member of Club Penguin. You know what I mean? There were, I think, on file, there were 5 top 16s for Flounder this weekend. That's something to really consider out here. If you're not prepared for the matchup, don't show up to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what half of the salty comment section says. But that's where I'm sitting right now. Honestly, you need to watch out for these decks. A lot of the things that I talked about in this in terms of variants are things that you do need to consider, and try to find things to overcome some of these weaknesses, or just don't be caught with your pants down against Flounder. That's all there is to it. They've come and double told me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.